You bet.
Okay, all right.
Welcome to the PHDJ podcast. A guy who knows how to hit record when he does a podcast. It's me, Richie T, and joining me today, all the way from North Carolina, we got Joe Bunn. Hello, sir.
Yo, hello,
And
hello.
my man, to use Joe Bunn's word, Mike Walter out there in Jersey. How you doing, sir?
Thank you, Richie. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for walking this episode in. Our longtime listeners might be like, have Joe and Mike been kidnapped? What's going on here?
No.
Good. This is good. I like this.
Yeah, I just decided to step up because we had a good 20-minute warm-up to today's episode, and then Joe decided to be like, oh, hey, I should record this. So
you missed some gold. I mean, that was some of the best stuff we've ever recorded. Or not recorded.
Oh man,
That's all good.
I don't know. I'm speechless. I'm so. I don't feel well. I'm gonna be honest. I'm sweating. I don't know why. The heat's not even on. I didn't hit record. I feel like I can make a more succinct point to Richie's original question, and I think he should definitely ask it again.
Before we ask Richie's question, let me say what I said earlier, that Richie, you join us on a very historic day for the PHDJ podcast. 5 years ago today, on January 19th, so what would that be, 2017 how's my math? We dropped our first ever podcast. So
that's so cool, man. I am proud of us.
You and I are going to pat ourselves on our back, as nobody else will.
We will.
But 5 years, man. Richie, what stat did you share with us the first time when we weren't recording? 20% of podcasts don't make it past 10 episodes. Is that what you said?
Yeah, and now I can say it correctly the first time. 80% don't make it past 10 episodes. So
So only 20% make it to episode 11. We are, I don't even know the number. I have to look it up. But it's 5 years. So whatever that is, 5 years of, and we usually only miss Christmas, although because of you this year, we didn't even miss Christmas, Richie.
New Christmas episode.
A whole new Christmas episode.
262.
How was that? Was it good, Richie? Was it worth it? You might have been the only one that listened to that.
No, I absolutely loved it. I love anytime you guys, the music episodes, I think are probably fan favorites. I really like those.
Yeah.
Good, man.
Yeah, a lot of people hit me up, Joe. They loved the Dave Lander last 2 weeks, talking about his A to Z. It was really good stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I love that.
Let's go back to why do we have Richie on?
Yeah. So we have Richie on because, as usual, we were getting down to the wire. Mike texts me on Tuesday. Are we rolling tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.? Yes, Mike, we are. Do you have a topic, Joe? No, Mike, do you? Not really. There was a couple of things that were floating, and I was like, I don't love these. Let me call Richie. I messaged Richie. Richie, do you want to come on in the morning? I know you don't sleep a lot. It's 7 a.m. in Utah. He's like, I'm down. Let's roll. And I go, he goes, what's the topic? And I go, I don't have that either. And I'm like, what if you just kind of curate some of the stuff that you send me that we haven't made episodes on and ask us some burning questions that you think the listeners or the fans of the show might like? And he's like, I got this. And so here we are. We finally hit record, and we're ready to kill it. Mike is fuming. No, he's smiling. If you're not watching this on video, I'm sweating. Richie is being just Richie. He's very happy to be here. So thank God. Thank God we don't have a Randy Bartlett on here. He would have cussed me sideways. So Richie, man, if you're ready, dude, let's get into it. Let's take it away.
Yeah, I want to set intentions. We're going to talk a lot about Joe and Mike, and they're going to share, hopefully, some really great experiences, maybe some not so great experiences as well. But you may hear the question and go, what does this have to do? What could I possibly glean from this? Trust me in that it will be valuable as we learn from people who have 70+ years of DJ experience. So,
damn, sound old, Joe, doesn't it?
Yes, I know. Jesus. Jeez.
So, not like the first time we recorded, I'm actually going to ask a different question and make you guys do over that first one. You guys are at a gig, and I'm not gonna tell you how old people are, or maybe you don't know how old people are, and you get 3 songs.
Ooh.
The 3 songs, you have to have an opener, a closer, and some song in the middle somewhere.
Ooh.
And you don't know how old the people are going to be. It can go at any event what are the 3 songs, your opener, your closer, and some song in the middle that you
when you
guarantee?
You mean end of the night, last song of the night?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
But the night is super condensed into a 3-song set.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We can go that way. And to that,
I'm saying, okay, go ahead.
And to that point, though, you don't get to know how old the people are.
Right.
Any of that kind of stuff until you get there. So these have to be like your 3, your opener of openers, your closer of closers, and one that is during the night.
I got
just
you.
like, oh, this is great. This will go with anybody.
Okay.
All right. I got 3.
Go ahead.
So I would open with September. I think that is a universally loved song. I think even though it's older, young people will recognize it, relate to it, and so I'd open with that. My middle song probably be Shout. That can be dated sometimes, but I find most crowds still love Shout, and it's a high watermark of my night. And then I would close with the Dirty Dancing. I've had the time of my life.
Wow.
All right, now, Joe, because you went second, it's going to be harder. You're not allowed to use any of what Mike said.
That's why I went first.
Yep, smart man.
Would you have repeated?
I would have used September, maybe. I think that was the first on the tip of my tongue. So I'm going Signed, Sealed, Delivered. The middle of the party, regardless of age, I would drop Yeah, and I'd probably close with Shout.
Okay.
But you're not allowed to, so you have to pick something else to close.
Oh, that's right. My closer, then I would go. I'd go with the what I thought Mike would pick, the Jersey staple, "Don't Stop Believing," the OG version. Yep.
Okay.
OG version.
We're recording this in January of 2022, which means we're right in the height of whatever this version of COVID is. The next one, though, get excited because we're in Omicron, but if you follow the Greek alphabet, the next one is Pi. Who doesn't want to get Pi?
Wow.
That's a good line, Richie.
Yeah. That's a dad joke. I got to call Randy. He loves a good dad joke.
So looking back to March of 2020. Yeah. So now that's, what is that? Who cares? However many months.
Almost 2 years.
What has been the greatest thing from the pandemic for each of you? Start with Joe, because Mike went first on the music question.
I think the greatest thing was, I'm waning as the years go on, but being considered a positive or a leader during especially that first year. Everything from just the post that I made to people reaching out to me like, man, you're keeping me going, to being in the New York Times talking about the Black Lives Matter
this podcast
movement, this podcast. I mean, like literally, I feel like that first year, just trying to be a leader. That's what stands out the most to me. I'm waning as the years go on, as I said. Going into year 3, it's like, oh man. Anyway,
what about you, Mike?
I would say it's the confidence that comes with surviving something incredibly traumatic. I remember years ago when I lost one of the superstar DJs in the area. I mean, this guy was phenomenal. And I remember thinking, this could be it. Like, Elite could be out of business after this. And we survived. Like, I had enough talent on staff and my reputation was strong enough. We took a hit, but I survived it. And I remember coming out of that thinking, all right, so I now I know there's no one singular DJ that could lead me, that could cripple my business. And that gave me some confidence moving forward. And I feel like the last 2 years have given me that. Like, if I can survive, if my company can survive this, which nobody could have seen coming and nobody could have prepared for, nobody could have predicted. And, personally, they tell you what, you should have 60 days of funds set aside. Well, we all needed like a year and a half.
Dude, we're in year 3.
We survived it. So I think, that it's given me some confidence to go.
Yep.
All right, there's nothing you can throw at me. What's the U2 line? There's nothing you can throw at me that I haven't already seen. I'm going to survive anything.
I piggyback off that, Mike. Anybody listening to this, if you're still here, you're still in business in 2022 after what we've been through as entertainers in the hospitality industry, the first people out of work, the last people back to work. You should give yourselves a round of applause right now. You should cheer for yourselves. You should be proud of yourselves. And you should truly know, like Mike said, you will absolutely be able to make it through anything after this shit.
I had a similar conversation with a photographer over the weekend. I did a bridal show, and a guy I hadn't seen in about 2 years, and we were like, we're both still in business. That's because this pandemic put a lot of my competitors out of business. A lot of banquet halls in the area are now shuttered. A lot of photographers have moved on to other things. So
not to mention pizzerias and gyms and the place you used to get your smoothie at, and I mean
So like Elton John, I'm still standing.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, thank you. That was a good question, Rich.
So abundant versus scarcity mindset. I can't remember what episode it was that you guys were recently sort of touching on this. And
are you sure that's our podcast? Because I don't ever remember talking about an abundant.
Well, to be fair, it wasn't the two of you guys. Someone sort of mentioned it, and you guys went, "Yeah, sure, yeah, okay, let's go on to something else." But
because I know you're involved in a lot of podcasts, Richie. You produce Alan Berg's podcast, right?
He does.
And so I'm thinking you might have heard that, because I don't ever remember talking about abundant and scarcity. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
It could have been on Mormon radio too. He does do that.
Could have been. I swear you did. Okay. That aside, the idea scarcity mindset is that you're essentially just going after every single thing. Abundant is there's plenty of work for everyone, and we should help each other out, and we can move along as far as that goes. So I think that it's easy in a multi-op position to be able to be like, yeah, man, there's plenty of work for everybody. Just, get your piece and you'll be fine. But for those single ops, man, it feels like scarcity from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. How, or what would you say to those single ops that are trying to have an abundant mindset, but just find themselves stuck in that scarcity?
Mike, you want to go first again? From the time we didn't record?
That an abundant mindset is healthy in business. I don't think that I have an abundant mind. If I'm reading it correctly, and an abundant mindset means you're kind of content and soft around the edges because you're not hustling, then I don't have an abundant mindset. Even though we book 1,000 events a year, I have a scarcity mindset. My mindset is I got to close every deal, and I got to hustle to book work, and I got to make sure my DJs have enough work to keep them happy and on staff and everything else. So I certainly don't wake up every day or most days going, okay, we got enough work, I'm done. Man, I hustle my ass off. And that doesn't mean dropping price and being a bottom feeder or anything else, but it means, working my butt off to make sure that we have enough gigs coming in.
And I was, my thoughts on it were, I'm a huge fan of yes, there is enough work around. There are other DJ companies in my town. There are 68 trillion in Mike's surrounding area. There's amazing DJs around Richie, many of whom I know. But I still believe in the concept of not talking crap about my competitors, not racing to the bottom with pricing. I do, whether it's, Richie by himself or, Mike with 20 MCs and DJs on staff, like there is enough business to go around if you go out there and get it. Now, if your personality's not great, your customer service isn't great, your response time's not great, your website is a mess from 1994, your Instagram hadn't been updated in 2 years, then yes, that could be your stopping point. But I do believe that even if you're a single op, you have the same ability to compete with Bunn DJ Company. We lose shows to guys that only have one or two DJs that are comparatively priced. So I do believe in that statement, but I also believe like in what Mike said, you still have to do your job. You have to hustle to go get it. Could Mike have sat on the couch all weekend and watched the NFL? Yes. But you know what he was doing as the owner of the company? Not one, but 2 wedding shows. Same with us. We were doing wedding shows all weekend. It's just, you know, it's part. I was at the NACE meeting on Tuesday night. You know what I mean? Like, it's just part of what you do. So anyway, you still got to go out there and get it, no matter who you are or how big you are or how small you are.
This is a complete shift, a change in questions, but I'm curious. You get to go to a lot of events, weddings, community events, whatever the things may be, and we oftentimes, you know, we are in control of a large portion of it, right? Whether it's successful or not. A lot rides on whether or not we come to the table, we're prepared, and something like that. I would love to know about a failure of an event that had nothing to do with you, a train wreck where you were there, you showed up, you did everything you possibly could, but man, what a disaster. And start with you, Joe.
Whew, man, these are tough. I almost needed these in advance. My memory's fading. I think that it's usually in the vein of corporate. When things go wrong, I think Mike and I have talked about this before, especially around the holiday seasons, where you just sometimes don't know what you're walking into with these corporate things. But I remember, this tells you how long ago it was. It was this was I forget what the company was called. It was one of the early cell phone companies, Swedish company. And I remember it being at this place called Marbles, which is a kids museum. They rent it out for parties and such, which is kind of a cool, you know, vibe, especially once you bring in gear and lights and everything. And it was massive, maybe over 1,000 people. This is obviously pre-COVID, really like early iPhone days. Whatever this phone was competed with the iPhone, and tons of people. And I just remember like what, and it just. I was doing my thing. It's just not really going on. And I just kept thinking to myself, what's happening here? And it was all based on, they did have a bar, but it was a cash bar. And they also did not allow people to bring a date or spouse. So it's basically people that just work with each other every day, you know, and the boss is there and Karen from HR is there and blah, blah, blah. And it just never really took off. Like, it had the potential, the venue was right, the lights were right, I was playing well, and I was like, what is happening? And I finally think I got to the bottom of it, like, you know, much later in the site. Now, as an owner and somebody that what we call advance the show, I probably should have gotten that information up front, you know, when I did the last call before the show, and I think I would have been a little less hard on myself as I'm playing the show. Like, why is this not a rager? And it was one of those parties that just did not take off for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe I don't know if it was too many internationals, no spouse, cash bar, like, and that one sticks with me. And it was, God, man, probably 12, 15 years ago.
All right, Mike.
You know, I'm going to give you more of an overall answer instead of one specific event, but I see alcohol specifically for the bride or groom, ruin a lot of game plans. You know, they go into a day going, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. And then they go to their hairdresser at 11 o'clock in the morning and they're getting fed mimosas, and they never drink that early in the morning, and they're drinking on an empty stomach, and they're drinking at the park, taking pictures. And by the time they get to the reception, they're hammered and their day has peaked, and they're on the downside when everyone else is on the upside. And I've seen it. If I could offer advice to brides, especially, it's be careful drinking early in the day, be careful drinking on empty stomach, because I've seen it. I just did a wedding back last month where I saw where the bride was literally like in and out of the room the whole time, and it was because she was hammered. And she's hammered because her friends are handing her drinks all day long, and she's probably drinking on an empty stomach and everything else. And I've just seen it too much where it's like we're not used to drinking from 11 a.m. on, and all of a sudden we try to do it and we don't, and it just ruins that game plan. And all of a sudden the pictures that you want to take have to be changed, and the dance that you want to do has to be changed, and the cake cutting that you wanted to do gets canceled because you're hammered. And I'm sure a lot of these brides wake up the next morning and go, why the fuck did I do that?
Yeah.
So I would just be careful with how much you drink. My wife and I, when we got married 9 years ago, we made a vow that we weren't going to get hammered. We didn't drink anything until we got until we said I do. We didn't have one cocktail, and even the rest of the night we paced ourselves. I remember every single moment about my wedding because I didn't want to get obliterated and be like, what did I do last night? The night was too special to allow that to happen. So that's and as a DJ, there's not a lot you can do when you go into the event with a plan, but then the bride's out of the room half the time and the groom is hammered and his buddies are carrying him out of the room. What can you do as a DJ? Other than giving them black coffee and smacking them around and saying, sober up, get back into it. There's nothing you can do,
Sounds like a Sopranos episode.
A follow-up then. Do you say that to your brides and grooms when you're consulting with them and coming up to it?
Should I? I don't know. It's a great question. Maybe I should start incorporating that into my review. But I haven't, because I do see it rare. It's not a common occurrence. If I do 80 weddings a year, it maybe happens 2 or 3 times. So it's not so common that I feel like I got to bring it up. But like I said, it just happened last month where I could tell the bride was in and out of the room. We were canceling, okay, we're going to do parent stances. 5 minutes later, no, we can't do parent stances. The bride had to leave the room again. Well, she had to leave the room because she was throwing up. We know why she's leaving the room. So I guess if I saw it more commonly, I might say, hey, but if a bride ever said to me, hey, do you have any advice from somebody who's been in the wedding industry 30 plus years? I'd say, yeah, be careful drinking all day long because your body can't handle it.
Great point, man.
All right, so you see this in like every DJ chat that ever existed, and maybe this is a great question to go out on, and we'll continue questions in another episode. But what is a DJ and what is not a DJ? That if I'm just if I'm playing music on like a Bluetooth speaker, but I'm curating the party, am I a DJ? What qualifies a DJ and what isn't a DJ? And whichever one of you want to go first on this one.
You want me to take this, Joe, or you got it?
Yeah, no, I feel like you're snappier today for something. My brain's not 1,000%.
Let me clarify. I would say, can I answer what's a professional DJ and what's not a professional DJ? Yes. Because I think that draws the line. If you're the guy who puts together the Spotify playlist when your friends are rocking the backyard barbecue, can you call yourself a DJ? Yeah, I guess it's a big tent, but you're not a professional DJ. I think being a professional DJ means you make money doing what you do, not your friends, throwing you a 6-pack because you're the one that curated the playlist today. But you actually make money doing what you do, and I would even. Well, I shouldn't say your main source of income because there are plenty of professional DJs who also do other things. So I won't say that, but I would say it's got to be more than just a couple bucks, but actually this is an important part of your overall income is DJing. And then as far as being a mobile DJ, professional mobile DJ, I think unlike your club DJs who play what they want and hope that the room likes what they're playing, I think being a professional mobile DJ is we're also in the service business, which means I listen to my clients. I play what they want to play. I don't play what they don't want to hear. I curate my list based on their taste, not based on this is Mike Walter's music. I'm going to play what I want to play. And if the room likes it, great. If they don't, go to another club. That's a club DJ's mentality to me, not a mobile DJ's mentality, because as much of an entertainer as I am, I also feel like I'm in the service business.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the guy with the Bluetooth speaker in the backyard, I mean, he can loosely be considered a DJ, but I mean, especially at my company where the DJ is also the MC, not only do you have the ability, now again, whether you mix or don't mix, Mike and I are huge advocates of beat mixing, but Mike will tell you, and I'll tell you, that I played many years, not knowing how to mix for shit, quite frankly. And so did Mike. I mean, we were kind of channel fading.
I didn't know how to mix. I wasn't great at it, and it also wasn't something that I emphasized. I always knew the importance of getting beats together and blending them, but I didn't focus on it, and it's not something that it was a priority to me.
It wasn't a hot It wasn't a high level priority like it is for me now, or for Mike now, to the point where he speaks about it now. You know, like that would have never been a seminar that I saw Mike speak at 10 years ago, 12 years ago. But I've also hired and kept and retained and gotten incredible reviews for guys that could mix chocolate milk, you know. But what a DJ is to me, you know, your music knowledge is extensive from late 50s to current, and you are thinking 10 moves ahead and you know exactly what song to play next. Do you miss every once in a while? Sure, we all do. But you are thinking so far ahead. And if I played chess, I'm sure it would be like this, that's the way your brain operates. And to me, that's what makes a great DJ / MC, if you can actually get on the mic.
There is a jukebox that I see in a lot of bars. I think it's called Touch Tunes.
That sounds right.
I'm just Googling it. It's basically, you might see it like it's on the wall in the bar, and you can connect with an app. Like if you have the app, it will find the closest touch tune, and you can pay your little money and you can program whatever song. It's probably hooked up to, and it says on it, "You be the DJ." Like that's what it says. So
that's the marketing.
What they're saying is, if you just select the next song, you're the DJ.
For the public, right.
Yeah. So, I mean, right. It's not like, obviously that's not aimed at you and me sitting in a bar, but that's aimed at the guy or the gal who's, you know, just goes, hey, I want to hear such and such a song. Oh, I'm the DJ. And I guess technically, again, if you want to broaden the tent enough, technically, if I'm sitting in a bar and I selected the next song, does that make me the DJ? I guess so. But that's why I say you're certainly not a professional DJ until you actually make some money doing it.
There we go.
Nice. I want to tease for the next episode. Mike and Joe will be answering the question, what is the biggest mistake they have ever made in their professional DJ career? That and other questions in the next episode of the PHDJ podcast.
Woo! That was a good teaser. Thanks, guys. We'll be back.